Отже, усім доброго дня. Мене звати Сахарова Анастасія.
Good day. My name is Anastasia Sakharova. We will begin. First, we will go ahead and go through some organizational matters. This webinar is conducted in Ukrainian. At the end, if you need to hear Ukrainian, go ahead and select Ukrainian. At the bottom panel, you have to click on the globe and select Ukrainian. You can ask either Ukrainian or English in Q&A or in chat. And right now I will switch to English because I believe that we also have individuals who listen in English.
In Ukrainian, as we were mentioning in our distribution materials. Please, if you're not a Ukrainian speaker, make sure you choose the English channel for interpretation in Zoom. So to do that, on the lower panel in Zoom, you have a sign that looks like planet. When you click on it, you should choose English. And of course, feel free to ask questions in English through the Q&A function or using the chat function. Please let us know if you find or if you have some difficulties finding this function. Thank you. Отже, сьогоднішній наш порядок денний виглядатиме наступним чином.
So this is the following schedule for today. We will have an introduction from Andrei Konuchenko. We will also speak about RE Data Explorer instruments, and we'll have a demonstration, and then we will have questions and answers. Andrei Konuchenko, go ahead and say your presentation.
Hello, everyone. My greetings, all participants of this conference and our event. It's a very important event. It gives us opportunity to see Ukraine from a development energy, not just a part of southern part, but whole area of Ukraine. Also, I would like to ask you, in case if you hear announcement of bomb shelling, please don't ignore it and use a bomb shelter, and please don't ignore it. We will interrupt. Anyway, the conference is going to be online and you will have an opportunity to listen and ask questions. A few questions about wind energy of Ukraine. First of all, I would like to say, despite on almost 71% of all windmill are occupied, windmill energy continued to generate energy and provided to some regions of Ukraine. It's wind energy. 70% of heat electric stations are destroyed. Almost 50% hydroelectric stations were destroyed, and it also negative influence on energy system of Ukraine. That's why in Ukraine we don't have electricity all the time. At this moment we're at business center. We are using a generator which provides energy for us. You can see the capacity in beginning of 2024. It was 1.9 gigawatts. And I just want to remind you that 71% is located on occupied territory. Mostly all these regions, it's Mykolaiv, Kherson, Odessa regions, which are controlled by Russia, and those stations are going to continue to work. Also, western part of Ukraine, there's also located there. 3 electric station is also being built because the equipment was delivered before the war, and 1 station in Lviv wind turbines were delivered during wartime, and thanks to our partners who were able to provide it. 238 megawatts were installed in Ukraine at this time. Next slide, please. I would like to show you some dynamics of increasing wind energy starting 2015, 2023. So you see some jumps in 2021. It was already ready projects to provide in 2022. And in 2022, we expected not 81.6, but 1,000 gigawatts. So exactly at the time, the building started, and the majority of those projects were on southern part of Ukraine. So as you see, and on the graphs below, you can see 1,000 gigawatts, 1,900 gigawatts. It was installed in 2023, beginning 2024. Next slide, please. I would like to summarize at this moment, we have active development of wind energy, and we have new projects, many of them, which not only started before the war, but started for the last 2 years. On today, you can see a windmill energy spreads all over area of Ukraine, central part and western part. So as you see in the red square, the area, we can't do anything because it's occupied or military actions are there. Anyway, 57 projects which we've been calculated, which are located in development stage, are located in controlled area, 50 megawatts, which are expected to be invested and to be built. So windmill map, which was built by Energy System of Ukraine, it's a good help to give imagination the full potential of Ukraine, and as soon as possible to start windmill energy to provide electric, ecological, clean energy, such as resource as wind, and provided Ukraine with energy in the most difficult time, where all energy systems have been destroyed. So we are very appreciated to National Laboratory for their participation and its help to provide windmill map, which will value. And we also appreciated Ukrainian companies which provided us with research data to improve quality of windmill map and create full capacity information for how wind was moving starting 2023. Next slide, please. So I also would like to attract your attention about windmill map. I want all participants who are developers who build windmill station to hear me out and understand this presentation, how you can use this map, windmill map. In case if you need any additional clarification, our American partners would be able to provide you with the answers. And finally, what we are given a review of windmill map. It's published in Ukrainian and in English, and we would be able to provide you with information of energy system, of legal changes, and about activity of our association, which unite 100,000 people of windmill energy. So thank you for your attention, and I would like Ilya
Дуже
be
дякую,
next.
Андрію.
Thank you very much, Andrei.
Дуже дякую. Отже, ми продовжимо наш
So we will
вебінар.
continue our
Будемо говорити
webinar,
сьогодні про партнерство USA
and we will
Thank
talk
you so
about
much,
partnership
Andrei. We will
of,
continue
in
our
REL.
webinar,
So this webinar
and
was
this will
possible
be
because of partnership
with
of
the partnership
NREL
between
and
USAID
American
and REL,
Association
the
of
U.S.
Development.
Agency for
We
International
work
Development, and the
together
National
to
Renewable
provide with
Energy
the clean
Laboratory partner to
energy.
deliver clean, reliable, and affordable power to the developing world. This is done through political support, planning, and deployment support, also through global technical toolkits. NREL is a National Renewable Energy Laboratory. We have more than 3,000 employees. We have 1,100 partnerships, and we have a large volume we work with. This partnership created global technical platforms.
Щодо масштабування передових енергетичних систем. Отже, загалом є 4 інструменти.
So in general, there are 4 instruments that we're going to be speaking about. This is the RE Explorer,
потенціалу відновлюваної енергетики.
and this is used for potential development of renewable energies. There are also other platforms, Greening the Grid, IGJEDI, and Resilient Energy.
Технічну допомогу у плануванні надійних та стійких енергетичних систем. Сьогодні ми зупинимося на renewable
Today
energy.
we're going to talk about renewable energy or RE Explorer. This is a platform, web-based, that enables energy resource exploration. This is going to be helpful for developers and politicians who deal with renewable energy. This supports prospecting, integrated planning, policymaking, and other decision-making activities. So you could have the repository for download of high-quality data and integration with other analytical tools. This platform supports prospecting, integrated planning, policymaking, and other decision-making activities to accelerate renewable energy development. The RE Explorer web platform provides renewable energy data, and all of these are accessible for visualizing and downloading so that those who are using it are able to make their own analyses.
Просто з тої точки зору, що на національному рівні не всі дані є завжди доступні. Також платформа має функцію доступу до метаданих. Таким чином ви можете розглянути
there's also metadata access function in the application, which provides additional information about each data layer, where this information was gathered and how it was developed. Before we start, I would like to show a few examples of how RE Data Explorer is used so that we're able to understand further how we can use this platform. This video will be in English, so if you're listening in Ukrainian, go ahead and connect to the Ukrainian channel, and if you're on the bottom of the screen, you should see a globe, and you can click on that. Once you click it, you need to select Ukrainian.
the MR data set enabled our research to create a more robust data to be used in the multi-criteria decision making. Mostly we use the data set on the university itself. We calculated everything from the areas of the most suitable for solar PV installations and the corresponding theoretical solar generation.
I am very passionate about how analytics can drive renewable energy and create social impact, especially for my region in Southeast Asia. The objective was to use the RE Data Explorer to extract high fidelity solar resource data along with meteorological data to train a machine learning algorithm that predicts solar irradiance. This algorithm can then be applied to other datasets from the Philippines and other parts of the world. And I aspire that in the future it will be used by organizations and communities in developing countries such as my home country, the Philippines, to encourage investment in solar infrastructure and educate and build livelihood for local communities.
RE Data Explorer has been a very important tool to support long-term energy planning for Peru. Our country is in an area in the world with a high potential for renewable resources. Using data from the RE Data Explorer, our team published a document to allow agencies in the energy sector, state, business, and academia to have a technical reference for evaluation of solar energy potential.
We try to promote investment.
Так, ми зупинимось на цьому і будемо продовжувати нашу презентацію.
We will stop here and we will continue our presentation. So we will continue with solar and wind resources. I'll start with solar resource. The solar resource data for Ukraine that covers 2005 to 2022 from NREL's National Solar Resource Database. And so TMY for Ukraine is based on 2005 to 2022. Besides RE Data Explorer, these are also available in SAM. Also PV Watts and REOPT. Besides these renewable data, we also have Global Solar Atlas, Global Horizontal Irradiance. We will focus on NSRDB, direct normal irradiance and global horizontal irradiance. These were created with PSM version 4. So characteristics, 4-kilometer resolution meteorological data and 15 minutes values of solar radiation data. You can find out more information on nsrdb.nrel.gov. So wind data, they were created through SuperWind, and this is geographical coverage for Ukraine, Moldova, and Eastern Romania. This was from 2000 to 2023 at 2 kilometers and minimally 5-minute intervals. Besides these, there are other meteorological variables, including wind speed and direction, temperature, and also relative humidity. And there are also various ground levels, starting from 10 to 200. If you wanted to read more about this meteorological data, you can find out more on this article that's called the High Resolution Meteorology. So I would like to do data resolution comparison. We see ERA5 and Super 3 wind. The ERA 5 has 30 kilometers at 60 minutes, and Super Wind has 2 kilometers intervaling at 5 minutes. So we can understand the potential of renewable energy and what you can expect from that in different locations in Ukraine. Besides this, NREL has a few data download options. The first one, it could be data for point locations or small areas. This all can be downloaded through the RE Data Explorer, and I will tell you more about how to do that. If you want to download a few more options, you can do that through API to access larger quantities of data through automated approaches. You can also have access through highly scalable data service, HSDS, or Amazon Web Services. Besides wind and solar data, there are other data sets for Ukraine that can help with your analyses. This is environmental data, for example, rivers, lakes, protected areas. And this is from World Database Unprotected Areas Consortium. There are also roads and railroads from OpenStreetMap and administrative boundaries. So right now we're going to have a demonstration in order to show you this application and how you can use that. Go ahead and let me know if you can see the screen.
Окей.
Видно.
Дякую, Андрію. Отже, це стартова сторінка RE
So this
Explorer.
is the homepage for RE Explorer. You can find it at this website. There are a few sections that will help you understand. The first one is the About tab. Here you can understand this program, understand what data is available and what technologies are available for which countries. And then if you go to tab Where We Work, you can find out more information about different partnerships and the results of work that has already been developed with RE Data Explorer. We also have a Resources and Trainings tab. Here is a resource library that you can access online and guides which will help you understand the programs and trainings that are accessible through YouTube. The last one is Ask an Expert. You can ask experts and developers of these programs. You need to include information about yourself, your name, your email, and then you can send a question to our experts. In order to go to Data Explorer, you can either go to access Data Explorer or on the map. So you could see this map. There's a few options, but before we're going to continue reviewing what's available, what you see is the first page, Welcome to RE Data Explorer. This is a questionnaire that you can fill out if you want to. This will be helpful to those who want to continue getting to know the development of this program and ask questions if you have questions. So we'll close that. If the top panel is in your way, so there's a helpful section where you could hide it, and then you'll have more space for your map. If you click on the bottom arrows, you can find links to other programs through NREL partnerships.
Тут у нас є zoom in та zoom out.
First, there's an option to zoom in and zoom out.
Вкладка умовних позначень.
And so then there's also a legend tab.
Також ви можете обрати стиль вашої мапи.
You can also select the style of your map.
Світлий стиль.
We selected the light one. You can also do dark. Or you could have a satellite style map.
Про ці інші елементи програми я розкажу трошки пізніше.
So we'll discuss the other options a little bit later. We have a different menu on the left. We're going to start with the data library. So when we select that, this is the option where you're going to select the data that you're interested in. First, you're going to select your country. We're going to select Ukraine. So you can filter through categories. There's a lot of different options. For example, if we select wind, and then we can filter the data and what renewable energy we're interested in. In this situation, it's super wind. Besides wind, I'm also interested in data for NSRDB Meteosat for sun data and elevation and administrative borders and regions. So once you select the data that you're interested in, you'll see it on your map. You also see it in the legend section.
Потрібно розібратися, як працює Legend. Насправді тут у нас є 4 набори даних.
So there are 4 sections of data, and they're layered on top of one another. But there are a few options on how.
Наприклад, якщо ви в першу чергу хочете побачити вітрові дані,
for example, if you want to see the wind data first, you can click the arrow up, and then that data will be on the top layer. But if you want to see, besides wind data, you want to see the elevation of the location, you can lower the opacity of the wind data. And that way you could also see more data on the map where you could make a more informed decision. So you're able to see all of this information. When you click on the eye, you can find out more information on this data. And this is accessible on all types of data. This is the data library for visualization. You can categorize them, and then you could zoom in into the map, see the data for specific locations and regions and so forth. There's also the option to download data. You can do that in various ways. First, it's the address. If you know the exact address that you wanted to see, you could put that in. You can also select a point option. So you just put a location, select a location on the map, and then the program will give you all the available data sets for this location. Besides this, you can select your data by with other options. You could select a territory. You could decide on what that territory looks like through a square, or select the territory through using the radius function. So once you see, then you'll have the database options for this location that are available. In this situation, I'm just going to select a point so that you can see how you can download this data. So here we see that wind data is available, sun data is available. So let's see how we can download wind data for Ukraine. Once you select that, you have to select attributes. There's the direction of wind and the speed of wind. I'm interested in speed 100 meters. and at a elevation of 100 meters. Then we need to select years. The available years are 2000 to 2023. For example, I'm interested in 2017 and 2021. Then you need to select intervals. The minimum is 5 minutes and maximum is 60 minutes. I'm going to select 15 minutes. Then I also have the option to convert you to local time to simplify my analyses. And then I can put my email in. So when you selected your email and put in your email, and you can click the download. So this data is going to be prepared and sent to your email. So it's very important to know that you put in the correct email. If it's an active email address, you will get that email of this data. We can also look at the sun data that's available. You need to select attributes interested. I will select GHI and DNI. I will select years because this is a meteorological year. I'm going to select a general year, which is from 2005 to 2022. Interval available is 60 minutes. I can also convert the time and then lastly put in the email and download the data. So downloading is fairly simple based on what data you're interested in, and then you can analyze it in other programs. But in addition to this, we also have programs that we personally built, and these are programs that help you figure out the potential. Right now we have PV watts, where it estimates the energy production and cost of energy at a specific location. So we'll select this location. We'll select the location number. So first you need to either put in the address or coordinates. I put in coordinates because it's a little bit easier at this moment for me. So now this program finds this coordinate, and then it gives you the resources and lets you know where it is. Then you have to put in information about your system. So this will be the capacity of the solar system, and then the tilt at 40 degrees. It's going to be a roof-mounted system. There's a few options. One axis backtracking. We're going to be on the fixed roof mounted once you run the analysis. So this is the results that you get. So this is the yearly generation for the electricity or energy. So this is a 4 kilowatt system. So there's a solar radiation data for every month and the AC energy. So this is what you have access to in RE Data Explorer. You can also use or click on the About tab on the side, which will bring you to the homepage. You can ask an expert. If you click, it's going to bring you back to the Ask an Expert site. And another helpful section, especially if you're starting to use this instrument, you can click on Take a Tour, get an overview and basically how to use this tool. So at this point, we will end our demonstration, and I would like to introduce Ilya Chernyhovsky to have a presentation.
Thank you, Nesta, and very glad for everyone to join today. So I have a few points that I want to make about how this data can be used. And so I've switched to English. I hope if you prefer to listen in Ukrainian, you can change the interpretation on the Zoom button. But I'll just talk briefly about how these data can be used. So we use data at NREL for very different use cases, all focused around understanding the power production from renewable energy projects and how they impact the power system. So you can use these data in NREL tools, for example, PV Watts, the System Advisor model, and REOPT. Those are all financial analysis tools as well as techno-economic project studies. So you can also use these tools in these data in commercial tools like PVSYST. That's a common tool for project performance and project financial analysis. And what we make available is this data for free. So you now have access to data across all of Ukraine. It is high quality, well-verified methodology to produce the kind of data that is used by industry to develop project financial analysis and project performance analysis. Another category of tools is modeling and optimization of the energy system. So tools like Reeds, like Sienna, like Plexos, these are tools that are used to simulate the operations of electricity markets and also to identify what are the resources that should be built in order to achieve a lowest cost power system in the future. So these data are all critical inputs to these tools. So we develop these tools at NREL for our internal research, but we also make the data available for industry partners and for government partners to use the same data in the tools that you use. Power system operators, they commonly use tools like PSSE for power flow analysis, or DigSilent Power Factory for power flow analysis. So these same data are useful to do that kind of analysis of transmission planning and generator planning. We also use these data in open source tools. In Europe, PIPSA is a very commonly used tool in research as well as applied studies. Calliope is another tool commonly used in Europe. So these are used for regional scale power systems analysis. There's another category of tools that are focused on understanding the economy-wide impacts of renewable energy and what is the optimal amount of renewable energy to include in the economy. Tools like TIMES and GCAM, these are general equilibrium models. So these data can also be used to inform those analysis, because with these data, you have a better understanding of the renewable resources in Ukraine. You can more accurately understand what is the contribution of renewable energy to the economy of the future. That's all that I wanted to cover here, and happy to take questions about how you can use these data, how we use these data, and how the data were developed. So over to you, Nastya. I think we will have a Q&A session now.
Right, yes. Thank you so much, Ілля. Отже, зараз ми будемо
Thank you so much, Ilya. So we will read questions. We have 3 questions in our chat, and I will be a moderator of this session, Q&A. You can ask questions in Ukrainian or English. We will translate it, and we will moderate this process. At this moment,
please feel free to raise your hand or just ask questions in the chat. Отже,
Можна я задам практичне питання?
так, Андрій.
Коли ви розповіли, ми обираємо собі точку, ми заповнюємо
I have a
інформацію.
question about, it's a practical question. So we choose a point on elevation and wind direction, and we can send this data to our email. So how does it work? Is it processed manually, or is this processed by computer? So this data is processed by computer. It depends what area you want to receive data. So it might take 1 to 5 minutes. All those computer. Colleagues, please ask questions. Now I see Ivan Zhukov, he has a question. Yes, please, Ivan. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Я правильно зрозумів, що
In my
от
understanding,
сюди підтягується
NREL
дані з
Explorer,
NREL.
you can use a data, NREL data.
Is that correct that in our eData Explorer, the data is from NREL?
That's correct. We have both NREL data as well as data provided by the World Bank through the World Global Energy Atlas. So both data sets are available.
Так, Іване, тобто, по суті, не всі дані є з NREL, більшість так, але там буде писатися джерело цих даних. Ці дані, які ми сьогодні показували, це SuperWind, вітрові дані, і також дані з NSRDB, з субсонячним ресурсу, це дані розроблені NREL.
Дякую. Тоді ще одне питання можна?
Так.
May I ask another question, please? I also see in NREL Explorer there are some layers of solar energy. Which would be better to use it? And
Так, дивіться,
EB? Well, it depends what data do you want to receive. You can get a solar disk and other 3 layers solar disk. We develop this data and all this data have separated capacity. All this data were received by our experts, and that's why we think why it's useful. Okay, thank you.
Дякую, Іване.
Thank you, Ivan.
Okay, so
there are a few questions in the chat. There was one question from Vsevolod Pavlovsky. Vsevolod, do you want to ask the question? Okay, if Vsevolod does not want to come on, I can ask the question and answer it. So the question was, is the data measured or is it modeled? And if it is modeled, what is the error? So the data is a combination of measured and modeled data. In the case of solar, we have satellite measurements that have tracked the solar irradiance over Ukraine and over all of Europe for a course of 20 years. But we adjust that data to include modeling of the cloud cover. So we have what is called the physical solar model. So we combine the modeling of cloud cover and diffuse irradiance across the entire geographic region of Ukraine. Combine that with the measurement data to produce a more accurate estimate of the amount of solar radiation that would fall on a solar panel. So there is, of course, error associated with any measurement and with any model, but we do significant amount of validation and correction to minimize error. So although there is always some error involved, we do have a very robust process of validation to make sure that our data are very accurate. For the wind data, we have a different approach. So this wind data was developed with a combination of met mass data that was collected from different regions in Ukraine, as well as a artificial intelligence machine learning model that used downscaling methods to downscale the ERA-5 weather modeling data, which is at a 30-kilometer resolution. We downscale that to a 3-kilometer resolution. And that machine learning method uses met mass data to minimize error and minimize bias. So with wind data, there's also a mix of modeled and measured data. There is always bias, there is always error associated with any measurement and any model. But again, we use met mass data to limit biases and minimize errors. We have a journal article that will be released soon to provide you with very detailed assessment of these errors. What I can share is that the data that we've produced is consistent with industry standards for data that is used for project financial analysis. Okay,
Thank
I'll
you,
stop
Ilya.
there, see if there are any other questions.
Yeah, we have actually a couple of questions, so I'll translate them for you. So first question, is it possible to adapt the data for ArcGIS or QGIS?
Yes, you can download the data in GIS format. And so if you're interested in specific applications in GIS, you can ask us in the Ask an Expert tool. So you can write us an email and we can send you the data in different formats.
Great, thank you. Another question, is this data accepted, by banks or investment institutions for receiving financing?
That's a good question. It depends. In the case of solar data, typically satellite measurements over a long period is sufficient, but it depends on the financial institution. It depends on the bank. For wind projects, typically a financial institution will require on-site measurement data. But again, it depends on the history of the developer's experience, as well as what the financial institution will accept. Maybe Andriy will have more insights on this.
Андрію, питання було наступне. Чи ці дані можуть прийматися банками чи інвесторами для фінансування? Це питання від
The
Миколи
question
Савчука.
to Andrei
Ілля,
was
скажи
from
свідомо,
Mykola
чи можна
Savchuk.
вас є ще
It's
доповнити до цього
about
питання?
data can be accepted by financial institution and
Йде про
by
чи будуть
banks.
банки приймати ці дані, тобто
The question was
використовувати ці
like
дані, а саме
not
приймати, бо
just
якщо
use but
компанія
accept this
звертається
data.
в банк
So,
за
for example,
інвестуванням,
if
вона
a
надає певні
company
дослідження,
wants to get
певні дані
invest certain
від
project,
атласу і так далі, чи буде просто
a
банк
company
взагалі
provides
розглядати ці
certain
дані. Я
information
думаю, що
about
це
wind
можуть
map
бути
and
додаткові дані, які
solar
головні дані,
energy.
це коли ви
So,
проводите відповідні
will
дослідження. І
bank
у вас є
accept
звіти
it?
відповідні,
So it depends.
є
When
ця
you have
інформація, яку
certain
будуть розглядати
reports
банки.
after
А
this,
вітровий атлас, він просто може
after your
допомогти
researches. So
вибрати правильну ділянку,
windmill map
зорієнтуватися, чи
will
можна там
help you
розвивати
to
проект, чи ні.
understand
Це
if your
моя думка, я
project
думаю, що вона так і
is
буде
going to be
працювати. Ну, в
profitable.
будь-якому
So
разі,
it's in my opinion. I
дякую
believe
Миколі Савчуку, що він
it works.
конкретизував саме питання
But thank you so
відношення
much,
банків
Mykola
до
Savchuk, for asking a certain
вітроатласу, який ви
question
розробили.
is regarding windmill
Дякую,
map.
Андрію. So the next question. So is it possible to use RE Data Explorer for the hydro generation?
No, we currently only have data for wind and solar in the RE Data Explorer for Ukraine.
Thank you. The question is about how often are we planning to update the data in the future?
We do not currently have any plans to update these data, so we have made 20 years of historical data available in this tool. Typically, 20 years is sufficient in order to capture the variability from year to year. And so this is the most robust data available for Ukraine, and we don't have any plans to make updates in the near future.
Thank you. There's a question from Alexander Prigornitsky. So what is the difference between your data and the Atlas Global or data from WindPro?
Great question. The Global Wind Atlas has a very sophisticated data model, and we use it. It's a very high quality tool. The difference is that our data is made available on an hourly or sub-hourly, so 5-minute timescale. And it is also higher resolution geographically. So our focus is to make data available that can be used in financial modeling as well as power systems modeling. We have a different purpose than the World Bank data. The World Bank data is very detailed on the historical long-term average. We focus more on capturing actual wind profiles at hourly and sub-hourly intervals. And so we have optimized our methods in order to accurately capture how the wind varies from day to day, from hour to hour throughout the year. And that's why we make the data available for download at these 5-minute to hourly timescales.
Great, thank you. There is a question from Natalia. Is it possible to consider the spatial constraints, geospatial constraints in technical potential tab for the wind in RE Data Explorer?
Yes, you can explore the spatial constraints for wind projects and solar projects in technical potential. However, I think the World Bank tool does a better job. So the World Bank RE zoning tool has very robust data about zoning for wind sites. And so I would recommend, if your purpose is to evaluate placement of wind turbines, to look first at the RE zoning tool made available by World Bank.
Thank you. There's a question from Ali. What is the error percentage acceptable, particularly if I am designing a large-scale solar or wind across a life cycle cost, and that too subjected to climate change and other socio-political factors?
It's a really good question. I don't have an answer for you because this will be different in different locations and depending on your use case. So I think we should have a more detailed discussion about errors offline.
Okay, the question from Olga. She's representing the Vinnytsia City Council. So she's asking if this resource can provide an information on the potential of wind for the community in Vinnytsia. So they try to understand if they can try to look for the options of the technology implementation that has like the wind technology implementation in their location. For example, wind turbines on the buildings, for example, to provide the electricity in the times of blackouts.
Yes, these data can provide data. These data can provide you insights about the wind resource in Vinnytsia and in other places. Typically, the application of this data is for utility scale wind plants. So these are wind plants that are built on tall towers at a minimum of 80 meters height up to 120 meters. So we typically do not consider small scale wind turbines on buildings when we do analysis, but these data can be used to analyze those applications as well.
Thank you. A question from Serhi. Is it possible to model several points simultaneously? 20 WTGs, for example.
Yes. So you can download, as Anastasia demonstrated, you can download the data for a large area, any size area that you choose. And then you can use that data to model any number of wind turbines that you're interested in.
Great. And the question from Atul, would it be possible to share financial modeling tools for wind and solar, please?
Yes, NREL has several tools available for financial modeling for both wind and solar. One of them is the System Advisor tool, and we have many webinars from NREL available about SAM. Another one is PVWatts, so you can go to the website pvwatts.org, or sorry, nrel.pvwatts.gov, Another tool is called REOPT. That's for financial analysis of microgrids that use clean energy. And so all of those tools are available, and all of those tools integrate these data that we've presented today.
Great. Another question, can it also show the offshore wind assessment?
Yes, these data have offshore as well. And so the Black Sea is covered under the wind data. However, I should add that we do not have validation data for offshore. And so you should be careful about interpreting data when there has been no offshore wind turbine in the Black Sea.
Great. Thank you so much, Ilya. I think for now we don't have any more questions in our questions and answer. I will check the chat. Okay, this question we have already answered. There is another question. So, what is the benefit of high resolution data?
Great question. So I mentioned the World Bank data, and also ERA5 is a common data source that's 30 kilometer by 30 kilometer. The problem is when we do analysis of the power system, if we place the wind turbine in a location and use data to simulate that turbine that is at a coarse resolution, so 30 kilometer by 30 kilometer, we will average out the production of that plant, and we will not capture the peaks and the valleys over time of that production. And so our analysis of the impact on the power system will be invalid. At a higher resolution data, so as you go down to a grid of 3 kilometers by 3 kilometers, like the one we made available in this data set, you can capture more precisely the patterns of wind at that specific location. And you can have a better representation of peaks and valleys and trends of the wind generation over the year.
Great, thank you. And the last question, can the data be used for day-ahead market forecasting?
No, this data is not intended for market forecasting in an operational timescale. This is not forecast data. This is only historical data, and it's used to simulate the average production of a turbine or a solar plant over its lifetime, not for the next day or the next hour.
Thank you, Ilya. There is another question. If it's possible to use the resource for hydro generation, I think we answered that. Unfortunately, it's not. There is wind data and solar data. So I'll jump to the next question. Kindly tell the name of software used in microgrids with the renewables that you just mentioned.
Yeah, the software is called REOPT.
REOPT.
And maybe someone can write it in the chat.
Yeah, I'll write it. Okay.
And that's available for free, made available online by NREL.
Great. The question from Alexander, whether it is possible to simulate the generation for a specific turbine model.
Yes, you can simulate generation for a specific turbine model in software called the System Advisor model. So you can use the data that we presented today in the System Advisor model, and then choose a specific turbine and understand the generation output of that specific turbine. And I'll type in the chat the name of the model.
Great, thank you. I think so far we have no other questions, but we can wait a couple of minutes if anyone has any other questions. Отже, я так бачу в чаті в questions and answers ми відповіли на всі питання. Якщо у вас є якісь додаткові питання, ми ще почекаємо. Ви можете задати їх або в чаті, або підняти руку та включити мікрофон. Ще одне питання тут з'явилося від Олександра. So what is the difference between the data of NREL and метаданных, I'm not sure, probably Ilya, you know, in WindPro? For example,
Yeah.
ERAS 5343.
Yes. So ERA5 on its own is coarse resolution data set. So you cannot get 3 by 3 kilometer data from ERA5. WinPro is a downscaled version of ERA5, so similar in methodology to what we've done. The problem is that WindPro is not available for free at an hourly or sub-hourly resolution, and that's really the difference. We've made this data available for free for the public to download with no cost.
Thank you, Ilya. So we will wait around 2 minutes. Please, if you have questions, any more questions, raise your hand or write them in the chat. Якщо у вас є ще питання, будь ласка, напишіть їх в чаті, в Q&A, або підніміть свою руку. Ми ще почекаємо 2 хвилини, якщо в когось ще виникнуть питання.
Анастасія, я бачу, що ви пишете відповідь стосовно ресурсу для гідрогенерації.
Так.
Anastasia, I
думаю,
see you
Олександр
just
Андрійович
wrote down
повернеться
resources.
відповідь.
I believe Alexander
Я вже
Grechko
відповіла.
will
Так,
get
на жаль,
this
дані
answer.
недоступні по
Unfortunately,
гідрогенерації, доступні дані
data
по вітровим
are
сонячним
not
ресурсам, але, на жаль, не по гідрогенерації.
are not available for hydro generation.
Дуже дякую, колеги. Я думаю, що
Thank you very
питання
much,
ще будуть. Ми сьогодні
colleagues.
прослухали
I
такий
believe you
дуже
will have more questions because
класний
you
курс,
will have
як
a really
користуватися
cool
вітровим і
course,
сонячним атласом.
how to use
Нам треба
wind
було
map
ще
and solar map,
запросити більше
and we
компаній
should invite more companies,
сектору
solar
сонячної енергетики.
energy
От.
companies,
Не очікували, що будуть так дуже
but
такий цікавий
we
атлас,
did
можна
not
було їм показати.
expect
Але я думаю,
that
що ми можемо,
it will be a
по-перше,
very interesting
поділитися
atlas to show
змінами
them, but we can share
відеопрезентацію.
video
І, до речі,
presentation.
у нас сьогодні багато було
And by the way,
запитань, не
we
всі змогли
had
сьогодні,
a
на жаль,
lot of
приєднатись.
questions.
По певним
Unfortunately,
причинам,
not
когось з електроенергії не
everyone
було, когось інші якісь
wasn't able to
проблеми.
join
Але ми
because of
хотіли
problems with
розмістити і на своєму
electricity
сайті
or other
Української
issues. And we
вітроенергетичної
also
асоціації
wanted to
розповсюдити саме
put
сьогоднішній
this
вебінар для того,
information,
щоб компанії
especially
могли
this
більше
webinar,
ознайомитись, і тоді
to
може
make
виникнуть
other
додаткові
companies
питання,
to
які
see,
ви зможете
and
нам відповісти вже в робочому
probably they
режимі.
would be
От.
able to
Хочу
ask
подякувати Національну
us
лабораторію з відновлювальних джерел енергії,
later.
особисто
I
Анастасії,
also wanted to
Іллю,
ask
Ларису, Софію,
Anastasia,
всіх, хто були причетні
Ilya,
до організації цього вебінару.
Larissa, Sophia,
І я
Dina,
бачу,
who
багато
were
тут вже йде лайків, всім
able to
сподобалося,
join
маю надію.
us. I
Я
see a
думаю, що
lot
це
of
буде,
likes.
давайте
I
зробимо не
believe
останній наш
they
такий
love
вебінар,
this
бо
idea.
питання будуть, вітроенергетика
I
розвивається,
believe it's not
у
going
нас
to be
немає
our
іншого
last
виходу.
webinar. We will have questions. We don't have any other choice.
Так, можливо, якісь проблеми зі світлом. Я тоді,
It
так
looks like
скажемо,
some
візьму
issues with
естафету.
electricity,
Хотіла всім
so
подякувати.
I
Дуже дякую, що
will
ви сьогодні до нас
continue.
приєдналися.
I just
Ми
wanted to say
обов'язково
thank
надішлемо
you to
матеріали з
join us.
презентацією. Українська
We
версія цього
absolutely
вебінару
going
буде
to send
доступна
you this
на
presentation.
Ютубі
This
Української
Ukrainian
вітроенергетичної асоціації. І англійська
version
версія
of this
вебінару буде
webinar will
доступна на
be
нашому Ютуб-каналі. Тож
available
усім дуже
on
дякуємо. Якщо
YouTube
у вас є якісь
of
додаткові питання, ви можете
Electroenergy
завжди до нас
website,
звернутися.
and
І бажаю всім
English version will be
гарного вечора
available here.
і до зустрічі.
I
So thank you
wish
everyone. Thank
everyone
you for participating. Have a good day and until pretty soon. Goodbye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.